And hello, YouTube, or whoever we're recording.
You're out there.
Hey, welcome. We'll sit here and watch the zero on the counter, because it's Friday night, and most people have better shit to do than watch this live. So we'll see y'all on the replay.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
We're always there.
Yeah, we're always there. So, shit. Usually it takes me way longer to press all the buttons than that. So apparently I'm getting better at this.
You did so good at button pressing.
Amazing.
Like, I've seen competitive, like, esports people. You outclassed them by a mile in button pressing.
Man.
We were talking about StarCraft. It's time for you to get back into the StarCraft scene.
I need to. I think you'd be a good coach, too.
I mean, I'd be a coach.
I envision a Rocky scene. Like, would you make me chase a chicken to get better at StarCraft?
You would have to play StarCraft in a meat freezer. Then, instead of judging from what I've heard about esports, athletes, I guess, instead of you cracking like 6 eggs into a glass and drinking them, you just smash up 6 Adderall, and it's a problem from what I've heard.
I believe it. I used to watch those guys playing the big StarCraft tournaments, and they're insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
I mean, they have to do this 500 times in a second, so
it's ridiculous how many mouse clicks they can get off per second. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Now you make me want to go play StarCraft. I don't think I have the right drugs to play StarCraft tonight, though.
What's your idea?
No, I don't have any Adderall.
Oh, okay. Because some people, like, I used to love to play Dota drunk. That was always fun.
I'm not sure what that is.
Dota is, have you played League of Legends? Or
Nope.
have you seen League of Legends? Alright, never mind. It's a game.
Okay, I believe you. I believe you.
It's a game.
So, backtrack a little bit. Explain for the people that aren't watching. That's why I was gonna share that on Facebook while I'm thinking about it.
Oh, we're hitting them with the double.
You had mentioned, it's not there. Fuck it. And that distracted me so much. Getting back to where we began, we were talking about being on stage and doing comedy and losing time. And I was saying that I am probably going to revisit some of my smoking habits because, for the same reasons that other people don't like smoking, some people don't like smoking on stage and trying to perform, which gets us to, that's how I met you, was through the comedy scene.
Yeah. And
so for all the people listening that don't know, catch everybody up. How long have you been doing comedy in Mobile?
I think
Alabama.
I think all together, like 2.5, 3 years, I think.
That's it? I thought you've been around. You're way better than I thought.
Oh man, that's
2 or 3 years. So
yeah, I mean, it was about 2.5 to 3 years. I took a break whenever my daughter was first born. I was doing like 6 months then, I think. And yeah, now I'm here, and I'm trying my darndest.
I do what I can.
I do what I can. I think the reason why people like Zeke and Carson and I associate with them, at least why they have gotten really good. I've tagged along is we'll just do any shitty show, any shitty mic, like anywhere. Like there was a period of time where we would go to like 9 mics in a week.
That's awesome.
Because we would just crash like old biker bars, open mics, and be like, "You want to do some comedy?" They would love us the first week, and then the novelty ran out by the next week, and we were like, "We can get 3 more out of this before they hate us."
Maybe 3 more. 3 more. That's all we're shooting for. Man. For those who care about the visual.
Yeah, I do.
They can see us now.
Andreas, how long have you been doing comedy? Compton?
I started in September, or I got up in September, October-ish. So this is what, 7-8 months now.
Jesus. Okay. God damn.
That's a guy. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Like that's what that's the thing that I really like about Pensacola versus Mobile is like Pensacola, new people are constantly getting involved, and that's great. Mobile, there's something weird about Mobile where like outside of like one rogue old man, like sometimes there aren't a lot of new people, and it's a little bit frustrating.
We had a great conversation the other night at the Merry Widow, myself and Alfred and Carson and Govna and I think Thomas was there, and I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. But we had a great conversation reminiscent about some of those stories and how to get some of that back. And so there are tons of us that are interested in figuring out what that takes. And I think it has a lot to do with, to put it simply, marketing.
Yeah.
But on a much more complex fashion, appealing to hearts and minds. Like, how do you get people to want to have a different kind of experience in an evening out, you know? And I think live music has been the norm for a really long time. So getting people on the level of comedy, which is where culturally everything is headed, because we need more of an in-depth dialogue, and it's always been the case that that comedy, I think, has been the flip side of the coin. But that's kind of where I think the scene's going. But you've been around long enough to see some of those changes in Mobile.
Yeah.
So what do we do to get that back in your opinion? What helps the comedy scene grow? What have you seen work?
I mean, what I've seen work in other cities and everything like that, because like comedy is in a weird place because of like the bubble that Netflix has kind of created as far as like
cranking
just
out
a constant stream of content. I feel like if someone wants to just see stand-up comedy, to be honest, they could turn on Netflix and see someone way better than like me, for example. But I think what I've seen in other places is that people get really creative with the types of shows that they put on. Like, it won't just be like a straight stand-up show. It'll be a show at someone's house, or it'll be people eat hot food and do their set and everything like that. I think that, because like you said, music has been a long staple in Mobile for a long time. It's, you know, several venues have gone in and out. Really, there have been like 2 comedy venues that we worked hard at doing things at, and it goes in and out of flux and everything like that. But just doing like Facebook posts, like that's not how you market to people anymore.
Right.
I think it was like, you know, 2-3 years ago.
For a second.
Yeah, but that's not where it is anymore. You have to, I feel like there has to be something to establish it outside of the norm. At least for Mobile as a market.
What do you mean? What do you mean establish? You mean establish comedy as the thing to do outside of what has been the norm, like music?
Yeah, like music, or you know, doing Crank Under the Bridge. That's what a lot of people in Mobile do.
I've heard.
Yeah,
I've been looking for that guy's number. Do you have it?
It might be Jamie.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, sorry, Mobile is a very weird town in the sense that like people get caught in like dregs a lot.
Yeah, are you familiar with the Mulligan Brothers at all? Do you know those guys? It's a great local band in Mobile, and they are really good songwriters and just encapsulate really well and capture what it is. There's I think Graham wrote the line. It talks about how when winter rolls in, the humidity is the only thing obliged to stick around, and how it's just this funk, and how Mobile is a town. What's the other line? He says, everybody knows, we all know each other. That's not exactly it. I'm screwing it up. But there's some really great lines musically that reflect that sentiment. So it makes me wonder how long that's been going on, because I remember when I grew up in Mobile, it was a thing that has started to creep back into my mind now. Like, I have got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's there's a Postal Service song, a song by the band The Postal Service, And one of the lines are, "This place is a prison, and these people aren't your friends."
That's a good one.
And yeah, because like Mobile seems like Mobile seems like kind of like Australia. It's a place where everyone is where they don't want to be.
It's like an old prison colony.
Yeah, it's a prison colony. You don't know what you did, but you're there.
But we're stuck.
And there's an ocean between you and everywhere else.
Yeah.
That it takes some doing to overcome, but people do it, and
Yeah.
that's good. Like some other comedians have like said things, like there was an empty room one time, and they were frustrated. It was a bad night, but they said something like, "Congratulations, you made it in Mobile comedy," and like it hurts. I was like, am I wasting time doing this? And I got over it. I was like, now I'm always getting better, and this is why you can go to other places. Like why, I went on tour and stuff like that.
Yes, the tour.
It's everything that I feel like I do, that we do, and everyone does here, is just sharpening those spears for whenever we go out into the jungle of other places.
Yeah, I think of it as tools in the tool belt.
Yeah.
And I did some wood shedding tonight, and I was so bummed. I was like, damn, I wish I were getting up somewhere. I went through and retweaked. I've just been really bummed the last couple of times I got up. Didn't have the best game plan. And so it was good for me to talk through a couple of ideas.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of other time that I wasted while I was focusing on talking through those ideas. And so I went back and did some wood shedding tonight, and we're like, we're not going to be wasting all that extra time next week.
I mean, that's one of the other good things about like that period of time where like we were able to do 9 mics. There wasn't, like, time economy wasn't really a thing. We didn't have to worry about it. We could do whatever we wanted, and it was going to be fine, because there was another mic 30 minutes afterwards.
Yeah, Carson was telling me recently the same thing about how they would go and just crash open mics, and he and I were talking about wanting to get together and plot to take over some open mics and turn some open mics into comedy mics. So
I mean,
I'm in. Like, I want to make it happen. Any time I can put together and throw some stuff out there, I'm down. I've been thinking about recording my sets and trying to figure out some way to use that for marketing and spreading the word and stuff like that. Have you ever dabbled in anything like that for your own sake? Or
yeah, I record sets for like posterity to like listen to and.
But I mean for distribution.
As far as distribution, no. There was a comedian.
And I'm not talking paid distribution.
No.
Don't anybody get me wrong and think I'm expecting somebody to pay to hear my stupid shit. No, we're talking about a Facebook post.
Yeah, like there was Andrew Polk. He was a comedian from New Orleans, down of Los Angeles. He did that, and it was just a 20-minute recording from his phone that he just took on one night of. It wasn't even the last show of the tour. It was just a show that he did. Yeah. And it was like, this is weird enough and unique enough, and he just put it out as like an EP, and I listened to it. It was great. Cool. And I think that definitely helped him out.
What qualified it as weird enough and unique enough?
Because it was a show that some things didn't work.
Yeah.
And he wasn't afraid of that. Like, he didn't automatically go into like a mode of like, well, that didn't work, let me move on to something else. It was a really great exercise in rolling with the punches, I feel like, and making the best out of it. It's that turning chicken shit into chicken salad. It's a great exercise of that. Not that it was bad, but it's just some things didn't land like I imagine he wanted them to.
Yeah.
But you know what that phase of me turn chicken shit into chicken salad.
That's interesting. I'm a firm believer that you can't always make things happen, but you can create the right conditions for things to happen. And so I think about that in wanting to record some stuff. Like, that's one of the things I was focused on today was writing, putting together these bits. I did 2 5-minute bits that I intend to record and put up on my YouTube channel, and then spread those around. What are your thoughts on stuff like that?
I'm kind of afraid.
Okay, well then now I'm kind of afraid.
No, because one night me and Carson were hanging out,
Yeah.
and we were just watching YouTube videos or whatever, and I remember that, like, I took a video of, like, one of my first 3 sets or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's watch this, it'll be fun. And it immediately went from it'll be fun to I hate myself. This is like I moved the mic stand because I knew that you were supposed to, like, do that, but I just stood, like, behind the stool, kinda. And it was like it was like a subliminal, like, don't look at my dick thing. And I just watched myself, and, like, Carson didn't hold back, and I hated it.
Oh, man.
So now I'm afraid of doing it and being like, it's pretty good. And then, like, 2 years rolls around, and I look at it, and I'm just like, find a extension cord to hang myself with.
So you would not be a candidate for one of my earlier project thoughts, which was, I'm a big fan of tearing down the fourth wall. I think that's fun. And so bringing people into the process of learning to be a comedian, like, I thought about throwing it all out there, but then I got all paranoid about copyright and material and shit like that. And then I have come to realize nobody gives a fuck about stealing my jokes. And so I'm a little more loose about it now, but yeah, I thought about all that. I don't know if it would be good or bad or...
Well, I think it's good or bad. Like, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to do. Like, it's a little bit, for me anyway, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But it's something good to do because it can only make you better. Like, if for whatever reason, if it is really bad or whatever, I put it out there. Someone says some mean shit or something. They said a mean comment, and maybe it's a little bit constructive, and I have something, and they're an asshole, and I know not to talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, it could hurt, but it's gonna make you stronger, I feel like.
I'm not so worried about the hurt these days. I quit giving a fuck a long time ago. That's another bit that I'm working on. Is how to talk about, not giving a fuck. Of course, I still give a shit about a lot of things.
Well, yeah.
But it's one of the reasons that, and this was part of one of the bits I was working on today, is how to explain what it is to wear a piece of clothing that generates so much attention on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Because it's not often, but you do get people that want to give me a hard time for it. And so it takes a little bit of gumption to have to walk in somewhere that I've never been before. Yeah. Like, okay, so there was the one time it got really weird. I went to this place, local bar that is a little not my style. We're talking like big hats,
okay,
cowboy boots.
Feel you.
My first time rolling in here, and the only people I know are the musicians that are on stage playing music. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. This doesn't feel like it's just not worth it. I don't want to. And so that bitch took over, and I was like, I just don't feel like doing this. But a lot of times there's that whole overcoming thing, and so that was part of the how do you overcome difficult situations. And so I'm not as much concerned about the criticism as much as I am interested in how does one go about promoting and sharing comedy without giving away all the milk.
Without giving away all the milk.
Yeah, and
I think that
fascinated by that.
What you have to do is give them a different kind of milk.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make it appealing in a way that you don't have to give out any of your stuff, but you have to give them a taste. Obviously,
right?
You have to let them know that it's gonna be a comedy show and not a reading of Hamlet. But there's certain funny ways to do marketing, but I don't think it's necessarily because the vast majority of us are funny. Mm-hmm. But it's not about being funny. It's about touching people. Just so that, because there have been plenty of times where like I get people who are like, yeah, this was great, I didn't know this happened. And it's like, what do we need to do? And I think that the answer is no one looks at Facebook stuff. It's spam by all accounts. It's not an accurate metric of people who are interested in what you're doing. TV and like traditional TV and radio, I don't know who does that, who's under the age 50. I think it's something more getting out and talking to people and expanding, doing shows in places where we don't usually do shows. Expanding from beyond the usual confines of what we are to get just new passerbys. Like these folks.
Right? We should talk to them.
You guys cover the show?
I don't think
She
she
gave me a
dirty look.
She wasn't happy. She's carrying an alcoholic drink in it.
Yeah, I know.
I'll fight her. I'll do it. I don't give a shit. I'll fight her if she loses.
We were just talking about touching people. And now we're talking about touching people.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not really good at talking to people. I'm just. I always prefer to just like kind of sit on the outskirts and listen and like catch in on things, because that's just how I've always been. So the act of getting out and talking to people and everything like that, like booking shows, is kind of a nightmare. Like, I gotta be like, I always feel like a child. Person was like, "Hey, Mister, can I
have some candy, please?"
Yeah,
I know that feeling.
So
I know that feeling. So you mentioned that comedy is reaching out and touching people. I see it as being allowed to take over and drive somebody's consciousness, and steal their attention line by line and say, pay attention to this, pay attention to this, pay attention to this. And other people have put it a myriad of other ways. But what does it really feel like for you, or how do you describe the feedback loop that is being on stage?
I mean, how I present it, or how I think about it, rather. Like you said, like drive them through. But like, I feel like, because the way I usually set up my sets, or the way that I imagine I'm going to set up my sets, there's kind of a narrative to it. At least in my head, there is. Like there's a line of progress that things go down. Like I'll go from talk about NASCAR to how I don't like NASCAR because I played a lot of games as a kid. I'll have a joke about games and stuff like that. So I always feel like whenever I do a show, at least if it's something that I've put together and it's not just a open mic that I'm doing, I'm kind of it's almost like I'm pitching a film or something like that, or doing an odd story that's just like a pitch of a short film, I think is the best way that I could put it.
That makes sense.
Like I'm putting them a certain series of scenes that I've either observed or like seen myself in, and gauging what they think about that. Sometimes it's a feeling of relation. Sometimes I'm the bad guy. Yeah, like that's okay. I'm not always the good guy in my jokes. It doesn't have to be that way.
I'm still learning to do that. I'm not there yet.
I don't know. Like it's kind of like how do you feel about professional wrestling?
I love professional. Jake the Snake Roberts.
It's kind of like being a heel. Like you kind of play it up a little bit, and to a certain degree, it's fun. You can't do it too much because you don't have someone else to counteract that. So you can't do it too much, but you can do it enough to where it's charming.
Well, and that's a good analogy because in something like wrestling, it's contrived to the extent that how much can you contrive two people running around in a ring without it being ballet,
right?
Or choreographed dance. And so I think that is a good analogy, in that you see so many similarities. It's such a good analogy that it's tagline, tagline, tagline. It's not necessarily what you do in the middle, but you've got to hit these highlights. And so you're scripting out.
You have your spots.
Bigger picture. That's what I need to...
I mean, I think that... Because people always group comedy and music together just because they run in the same circles.
Yeah, generally. I think two sides of the same coin.
But I feel like as far as a comparison of what they are, I think comedy and pro wrestling are really married in a lot of ways. There's something kind of carny about the whole thing, to a certain degree, I feel like. It's all about weird, promotion, everything like that, like getting people.
The concept of the spectacle, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Wrestlers go out and take physical risks. Comedians probably take like more emotional risks. Than anything, but it's still a risk.
But the suicide rate seems to be about the same.
I mean, I will say comedians way less concussions.
Way less concussions. It's very true. It's very
drug
true.
And alcohol problems about on the same level, I think. I feel like.
But that's an artist thing that seems to just go with the territory. I think the tortured artist. But I was thinking about this earlier today. None of us are fucking happy. As a culture, there are tribes of people that want to resolve it in the same way. Drinkers, smokers, angry whatever, soccer players. There are all these different groups that you can join to get away from reality.
Right.
But so few people celebrate their daily reality. Like, a major part of what seems to be our culture nowadays is the escapism from the routine and the fluorescent lights.
Right.
I don't know where I was going with that, but I've been thinking about that.
I mean, to a certain degree, like, and this might sound weird.
No, go for it. I like weird.
I think it's a good thing to not be happy.
Yeah.
Like I think
science supports you in that.
Yeah. Like there's a. I do my best things like whenever I'm angry about if I'm doing something out of spite. I will knock it out of the park.
Now, why is that?
I don't know what it is. Like,
is it a focus thing?
Yeah, it's a. Someone said this thing about me, or someone thinks this thing about me. Fuck them. I'm going to show them. For me personally, it doesn't work like that for everyone. But like not being happy, I feel like if you're happy, things and how maybe unhealthy it is. If you're happy, then like there's no drive to make things better because things are already great.
Yeah. Get static.
That's
stagnant.
Yeah. Like I can be happy about certain things in my life. Like I'm happy about my daughter, I'm happy about my friends, everything like that. Mm-hmm. But I think I feel like if I'm 100% happy, then like I've given up. Because there's always going to be something out there.
Yeah, and science supports that. Science says that we are, it's the want of the future thing. It's delayed gratification is the thing that we're really good at. See how good I am at pushing buttons?
So good at pushing buttons.
So delayed gratification is the thing. Like, we get more excited about what's coming, and then when they hook the mice up to all the little things that make their lights go off, that's what they get excited about. And people get more excited about thinking about doing coke than they do about doing coke.
Yeah.
And like the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And so like even some of the world's best drugs are just a shortcut to get your brain to do what it's going to do anyway.
Yeah.
Just on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And I forget where I was going with that, but I totally forgot where I was going with that.
I guess, like, how do you feel about it? Like, what's your... Because I feel like with how I described it, I think it looks at happiness as being like almost a weakness, But, like, what do you think about it?
I don't think it's a weakness as much as it's unable to share this Facebook page, which makes me angry. Which is not happiness. Oh, see, it dropped the internet connection.
Oh.
So whatever. If you see this on Facebook, share it for me, because I can't, and I'm done trying. I think happiness does have a lot to do with delayed gratification. I think getting that, being happy about potential is almost as important as being happy in the moment. And that goes back to some big philosophical stuff, like, should we be happy in the moment? Should we live for the now? Should we live for some version of the future? I mean, I think it all comes down to balance, and both. That's the trick. And so happiness, a great deal of happiness is fleeting, and the briefness, the brevity of happiness, I think, has to be weighed very carefully against the discomfort one goes through to get to that happiness. And that's one of the things that I think is so great about getting up on stage. It's terrifying to get up there and think that a joke might not land. And so when it does, it's so rewarding.
Or like I'll go up there and be like, I know I'm going to say the word retard in this joke. I don't know how this group of people feels about that, but I'm going to give it to them anyway.
Right.
We're going to see where this goes. There's something thrilling about that.
Yeah.
And it just feels good.
Having a secret.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, I have a secret. None of these people know it, but they're about to know it.
Kaboom! Well, drop it on them. That's fun. That's so much fun.
It's like coming out of the closet to your parents every night.
Just that look. You just get to be very, very patient. I know about that look. It's fun. It's part of wearing the kilt every day. People get caught off guard, and I get to see that look from time to time of just the double take. Like, oh yeah.
How do you? Because like, I'm an idiot. I assume that you just had like one kilt. How many kilts do you have?
A lot.
Okay, all right.
Like,
you have like
over 13 that I wear on a regular basis.
Okay. All right.
And several novelty kilts, like heavy cotton ones and all kinds of crazy stuff.
That makes sense to have utility.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have like 3 pairs of pants that I wear, and so I didn't know if it was the same thing or
they last longer. So I've been collecting them for 6 years, and they last a really long time. They're really durable, and that's all I wear now. So instead of jeans, I was spending $100 on a pair of jeans when I was wearing Lucky brand. And so these are just way more comfortable. And that's one of the reasons I was talking about the marketing thing, is because the kilt is something that when I first came to comedy, I didn't want to address. It was like, okay, I'm going to get up on stage and I'm just not going to talk about the fact that I'm wearing a kilt, because that's how I go about my daily life. And now, because I've told those stories so much, and because that's such my story, you're not going to steal the joke. I'm not worried about the copyright material. That I kind of am thinking that's going to be that first 5 minutes of, so here's me telling stories that you probably know in a funny way already.
Yeah.
And hoping that could be something to not give away the whole kit and caboodle, but say, here's some jokes with some punchlines, like a taster of the bigger thing. Because it is fucking hilarious watching people do that double take, man.
They're just doing some calculations in their head.
Oh, yeah. Watching people trying to figure out, like, what is going on there. I enjoy it.
What's the story behind this clothing article?
Well, it's my 2-cent way of controlling people's minds. I always wanted that to be my superpower.
Okay.
What did you want your superpower to be?
Ooh, I think I would want my superpower to be teleportation. I like teleportation.
That's a good one.
Because then I could book a show in New York and just be there.
And just be there. That'd be sick.
It's like I always wish that we had a train, like a train system.
Yeah.
Here, it's because like, you hear about like people in New Jersey like, oh yeah, I get on a train for 30 minutes, I'm in New York, and they're like,
bastards!
I have to drive an hour to go to Pensacola. That's not fair.
That's fucking horrible.
If I could just get on a train for 20 minutes, that'd be way better. Plus, the whole public transit thing, and
Well, and now with the Boring Company and Elon Musk and the Hyperloop, we'll be able to get from Pensacola to New Orleans in 45 minutes.
Oh God, that's
like a half hour.
That's more time to be in New Orleans.
Hell yeah.
Spend money in New Orleans. Like, that's or wherever you're at. There's no reason people wouldn't like this.
No, not at all. And I think it scales up, too. I was listening to Michio Kaku talk about how maybe the future of travel is just downloading your consciousness in other avatars. And, like, I've seen that shit in movies and I've heard it talked about, but to hear someone like Michio Kaku, a reputable physicist, talking about that being a possibility one day, that's some cool stuff, because that is teleportation just without the messy wetware.
Like, essentially, like, that's how, isn't that, at least as far as the lore goes, isn't that how the teleportation in Star Trek was, like, addressed? Like, it's taking your conscious and putting it in a different copy of exact molecules somewhere else?
I don't know enough about their teleportation systems.
And that may not be canon. I may have just read that somewhere.
The only one I can think of is the one where they have to kill that dude over and over and over again. What was that? The Prestige.
Oh, okay.
Where they kill Wolverine over and over and over again because he teleports and he makes a copy. And
that was a very dark sequel to Groundhog Day.
The Prestige. Yeah, and oh, by the way, spoiler alert for those of you playing along at home. But fuck off, it's decades old. Also,
they stab Caesar in the end.
Mm-hmm. At two brute.
At two booty.
Booty!
Give me that booty. Booty. So what do you think about, like, what's your favorite Shakespeare play?
Hamlet.
Hamlet? Okay.
Yeah, just because I am definitely that to be or not to be, whether 'tis noble to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take up arms against a sea of trouble, whether 'tis nobler to oppose and end them. And yeah, I used to be able to. Once upon a time, I like Hamlet. The whole Hamlet syndrome of indecisiveness and. Just sad bastard. I did that for a long time. Like, that was definitely me.
Yeah, that's one of the weird, because I was thinking about this the other day, because I was talking to a black comedian, and we're all doing the same thing, but working white rooms and working black rooms are different experiences. As far as white comedians, especially white dude comedians, the archetype of the sad bearded man is pretty constant. Sometimes I used to do a bunch of jokes about being sad and stuff like that, but I noticed that and I was like, well, maybe this character is already there. And
never thought about that.
Yeah, the sad bearded comedian is just something that I've seen a lot of, and I've been.
Is that like a Stephen Wright thing?
I don't know.
Where does that come from? I wonder.
Whenever I first heard about the archetype of it, it was with a interview with Kyle Kinane, and he was talking about how he was doing these jokes and they weren't really working, and he wondered why. He looked around Chicago or whatever, and he was like, oh, because I have the same perspective as everyone else. We're all here with our lazy beards and flannel, and we're just sad. And so maybe I should try something else. So plus, I don't know. If I'm sad, I feel like I can express it in a lot of different ways.
I think that goes back to, like we were saying earlier, with escapism. You know, I think everybody these days, we have separated ourselves so far from what it is that we're supposed to be doing, which is being happy and having a good time, that people are just fucking miserable all the time. Yeah. Absolutely all the time.
I'd say, yeah, I mean, at the very least, I feel like, with me, anyway, I know that I'm not grateful for just the miracle of being alive on some spinning rock that just happens to be the right space away, but not too far away, everything like that. Like, just the fact that, like, you know, my dad was able to come one night, and, like,
the simplicity of it.
I got here. Like, what a fucking roll of the dice.
Yeah, the probability, the likelihood that anyone exists genetically is something like 1 in 4 billion.
Yeah. And, like, the miracle of the ecosystem inside of my body that is taking place. Like, my body is a planet, essentially, for, like, a whole set of bacteria and cells, everything like that.
The microbiome.
Yeah, like...
I think that's what happens when you eat mushrooms. Russell and I talk about this, and I say this shit all the time, but I think it's because of stuff that is so complex like that when we think we're having this conscious altered experience, what we're really doing is just tapping in to this universality that we already are.
Okay, yeah.
And so when people come back and say, well, I feel connected, you're like, you're always connected. You're just paying attention to being connected now.
Yeah,
like, that's what the mushrooms do.
You just pick up the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Because it is fucking amazing. Like, this meat suit, like you were saying, is extra fucking ordinary.
Yeah, it's a fantastic machine. Like, the fact that my heart knows what to do is ridiculous. Like, I have phones that are not as dependable as this.
Right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And you know why? Because some kind of magic with this. And I don't
think it's that magical, though. I think there's a lot of ancient wisdom that goes a long way to explaining it. And I think it's funny that most of the technology that we're building seems to just be a shortcut to things that already occur in nature. Like, we just want everything to be faster, and we want everything to be easier. And I was thinking the other day about how, as convenient as life is, really all we've done is create longer lines to wait to die.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, in some weird way, that's a lot of what we're doing.
Like, what do you feel was, like, the last great achievement as far as what people did from, like, a technological basis, I guess?
I'm gonna have to go with the Falcon 2 Heavy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Fucking Tesla. Like, that's an incredible thing for one dude made enough money to replicate the spending and the efforts of a government agency over the last 4 decades, and did better than they did, and outspent them, and the whole 9 yards. That's a whole new era in humanity.
It is, and it's also, what if he wasn't a good guy? Like,
oh, he doesn't have to be, and he won't always be. That's another thing. I think we're to a time now where people, nobody is going to deserve more than 15 minutes of fame, because after 15 minutes, the skeletons just start falling out of the closet. like save us all, please.
There was do you remember when all the net neutrality stuff was, like, going down, like with SOPA, and, you know, all these people like Google and Facebook and everything like that were, like, saying, like, net neutrality, like, we're with you, which is great, but, like, what happens whenever they're not with us on something?
Yeah.
Like, that display of power while good for the short term, it sets a very frightening precedence. So I'm just me. I don't know what to do about it. There are all these problems in the world and things going on. To a certain degree, I can only control so much. So
Right.
I try not to get angry about things that I can't do anything about.
Yeah, that's understandable. Cops. Yeah, I try not to get angry about stuff that I can't control, but I struggle. I struggle with not getting angry with some people, but I'm not going to talk about them because it's not. See, this is what I struggle with. My brain goes off on a tangent and just wants to focus in on that one thing instead of just relaxing and being like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Oh.
Man, sitting down here in this depression sounds really cool with the way it echoes off the walls. I hope that comes through on the recording.
It is very nice.
That's awesome.
In this depression.
In this depression. This is a triple pun today.
Oh, man.
Ba-doom.
Get them.
Damn. Goddamn.
I've always wanted to come here to the place where we're at right now.
You can tell everybody. It's okay. We're hanging out at the back porch because on Friday nights we do comedy at the back porch. Bill Goodman is on the bill. If you're one of those one people,
hey, look
that's
at you.
on here, then if you're in Pensacola, come hang out with us at the back porch. There's a great comedy show. Do you remember the headliner's name? I should remember her name, and I don't.
Mary Devon?
I hope so.
Devon Mary? I believe she's from New Orleans.
Heck yeah, man. Yes. From NOLA. Yes, New Orleans. Indeed. So, appropriate plugs, all that good stuff. Whatever comedy mobile.
Yeah.
You got any plugs you want to throw out there? Since I got distracted, we'll do the plug thing and then we'll come back to it. I see people showing up though. What time is it? And I want to hear about Twitter sitters.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to tune in lately. What have y'all been up to?
We kind of taking a break because I started a weird schedule with the day job, and Ryan Adams, the Mardi Gras season is particularly rough on him with what he does.
Oh yeah.
So we took a little bit of a break. We're gonna be jumping on it soon because
that's awesome.
Because we bought a domain name and we have to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, it's on your podcaster place, wherever you do that at. Yeah, I'm working on a website for comedy whatever stuff because I've started doing web design stuff recently.
Cool.
I think just go support some kind of local art. Just do something.
Yes, support real people.
Yeah.
Support real people. My friend and I were talking today about how politics, and not really politics, but law, and the way that states are set up and everything, and how we have to figure out how to redress this whole individual sovereignty and this fallacy that people can actually own shit.
Okay, yeah.
Like, this version of capitalism, I think we've about worn the fuck out of.
I think a lot of people are increasingly frustrated.
Yeah. Do you spend a lot of time pondering those kind of things?
Whenever I was 16, for my 16th birthday, my mom, bless her heart, she got me, she asked what I wanted, and I said books. And I gave her a list of books. And my dear sweet mom walked into a Books A Million and bought like 7 books. And it was like The Old Man and the Sea, Dracula, The Quran, Communist Manifesto. Good for, she didn't have to do that, but she did. I think that a lot of things are based on like class struggles.
Yep.
I think that a lot of conflict that you see is a cover for class struggles. And I think that it's always been an issue of that. There's an old parable that there's a businessman, a white man, and a black man around a fire, and they have a pack of cookies, and the businessman takes almost all the cookies except for one, and he gives it to the white man. He says, hey, you better be careful or he's going to get your cookie whenever he has all the cookies. And I think that prop is something that keeps people in a version of indentured servitude, more or less. And man, it's just it's terrible for everybody except for the people who instigate that system. Yeah, burn all the fuck down.
I'm right there with you, man. From a government standpoint, fire them all, rewrite the Constitution. And we need to start looking at it from a cultural level. Like, we got to get all the way down to the... People can't be running around being afraid of all this top-down hegemony bullshit. It's crazy.
That's the weird... The Constitution is over, 200 years old.
Right?
How in the world can that moderate a common...
How old's your phone?
Current world?
Right?
Exactly.
How out of date was your phone yesterday? 200-year-old document? Who's making the rules?
There's no logical reason. No one goes by the Articles of Confederation or the Code of Hammurabi anymore.
No, and the people who quote it misrepresent it so much, and they misrepresent the context that it comes out of, and I'm just not a fan. I've studied enough history to know who those people were, and they were not good people.
Yeah.
They were not. I'm sorry. You can't be a Bible-thumping asshole and then a slave owner at the same time.
Yeah.
And not call yourself a hypocrite. And I don't care if I'm throwing stones 100 years back in history. There was some known hypocrisy going on, and it was bullshit.
Not even that, but
bullshit.
Even if they were, of the most progressive minds of their time, they were still fucking using leeches to cure sickness.
Yeah.
By today's standards, they're dumb. There's no other way to look at it.
Right, they tried real hard.
Yeah.
Bless their hearts.
They did great for them. I mean, it's like if you compare LeBron James to Pistol Pete or a basketball player from the 70s. It's a different...
Goose Tatum. Good fucking luck.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
And things...
LeBron will never be better than Goose Tatum.
I don't know. I named the one basketball player I know. I should have chosen something else, but I went all in on the basketball thing.
That's okay. Goose Tatum was the original Harlem Globetrotter dude.
Oh, okay.
He was a real monster. It's a real monster. In a badass basketball player way, not in a...
Yeah, I don't think he was
murder people kind of monster way.
That was before you could find out about it.
I know. The collective consciousness, though, the Akashic Records... I study a lot of old school history like that. Do you ever get into the Enuma Elish Sumerian tablets and all that kind of crazy history?
Now the most that I really dig in as far as history is some American history items, specifically weird figures as far as it goes. There's a wonderful series that I listen to. I think it's 12 hours long, and it's just about the culture, everything surrounding the development of the atomic bomb, and all the conflicting egos and thought processes in that. I love reading about... People have this weird thing with serial killers. I really like reading about Conmen. Something about the character of a con man is so charming. I think it's because I'm what they would call a sucker.
I was gonna say I got some oceanfront property.
But yeah, I like that. There's this one story of I think it was called The Yellow Kid, and he went to this financier, and he was like, hey, I'm willing to make a deal with you, but give me 8 days to get $8,000. And the guy was like, how are you going to get $8,000 in 8 days? And they're like, well, I have this thing going on with my uncle. We're going to fence this property more or less. They don't want to sell it to him, so we're going to find some third guy, sell it to him for $30,000, and then he's going to sell it for $500,000 or whatever it's worth, that we all split it so that we can actually sell it. And the dude jumped on it. He's like, I'll do it. I'll sell it. I'll be your third man. And so he was like, all right, fine. Like, they had a conversation about it. They go to Chicago to conduct a deal with the financiers. And the guy's brought a boxer that he's training with him. Yellow, the kid. The yellow kid has brought a boxer that he's training. And they go and they meet with the financiers. And they eventually agree to do the deal the next day. And they start seeing the boxer doing shadow boxing over there. And he's like, who's that? They have a boxer. Because boxing was big back then. And so they get into a discussion over who would win. And they finally agree to have a match the next day before they sign the deal. Mm-hmm. They bet $30,000. And they're like, hey, can you put this up? We have like 10,000, but we need more. Can you put it up there for us to the third man? And he's like, yeah, sure. So like, he does, and they arrange for the other boxer to take a payoff to throw the fight, essentially. So they go, and like, everything's going great. Then the other boxer fucking smashes the other dude, kills him. The Big Flabby original boxer kills him. Everyone freaks out. They bolt. Then he gets up. He takes the little rooster blood tablet out of his mouth or whatever. The financiers all come back in, and it was like a scam on top of a scam on top of a scam, and it was just lovely.
Inception for assholes. Oh. I know what you mean, though. The con man is fascinating. I think it's something about being fascinated by everyone's ability to lie, and this innate ability that we have to spot a lie and spot a liar. And that's been refined in a lot of ways, and you can get real in depth about it. But there's something about, we all have this ability, and the people who want to turn life into that kind of chess game, who can screw whoever last. That's the world that we've gotten into, I think, that bugs me so fucking bad. That I wish you could just... It's so hard to cut to the truth of any given thing. It drives me fucking nuts. It drives me nuts. But the long con is my favorite.
It's like solving a murder mystery, but it was you that got murdered. Like, it's...
Good luck, fucker.
It's like, oh, I just figured this out. Oh, no.
Yeah, oh no, I'm Dexter and I killed myself. Yeah, oh man. His sister would be so disappointed in him.
He should have.
I never saw the last couple of seasons. I heard it's coming back. I don't know if you're into Dexter at all, but...
Dude, don't... I did it to myself. I watched it. I knew I wasn't gonna... I did it to myself. Dexter is one of the... Like, whenever you see a plane, and you see it, and it looks majestic, but you can tell something bad is going to happen, and it's not always going to be that way. That's what Dexter was. And I don't want him to bring it back. I want everything with Dexter to stop. It didn't have to be.
It didn't have to come crashing down.
It didn't have to get... Like, plus there's no need to bring everything back.
Well, but isn't that the case for every story, though? Like, it doesn't matter how fantastical the story is. On a long enough timeline, sum zero. Like, everything sucks.
Yeah, but, like... You know, amuse... Like, try.
But that's not funny.
Like, don't
right?
just, like... try to woo me with it or something. Like...
Yeah. Sell me on it.
It's okay. Like, every story's been told or whatever.
True.
But just try to, try to hook me. Don't just be like, yeah, this is Author's Round Table, but with a dude on a bike. Like, don't.
But with a dude on a bike. Man, that sounds like the next podcast.
Dude on a bike.
With a dude on a bike.
Yeah, with a dude on a bike.
Podcast with a dude on a bike. Or just podcast and a dude on a bike. Always on a bike. He's working on a gold bond sponsorship.
He's gonna have some great quads. I'll tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Oh, goodness gracious! There's so many other things. The Sumerian tablets, though. Getting back into history, do you study Egyptian history at all? Like, what do you think about the pyramids? Are they tombs or not?
I dabbled in learning stuff about Egyptian mythology,
Yeah,
but that's about it. As I would assume that they're tombs, but they could not be. I haven't been there. I've been able to take a. I'm not convinced that they're even fucking real. You know,
they're inflated. Some bullshit. I saw it in Transformers.
I mean, I ain't seen it, so
I ain't seen it.
what you gonna do?
So much of the world.
I mean, to be honest, like everything before like the invention of the printing press, all that could be made up. I don't know.
It's so hard to go do the research now, and so many people rely on so much bad science, and it's so hard to get to the truth, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like we were saying, layers, scam on top of scam on top of scam. That's why I go back to burning it all fucking down, like you said.
All you have to do is just say something with the authority that it's right, and that's all it takes.
Yeah.
It's like you have a bit where you say a word, and it's not a real word, and no one knows that until like you declare they believe it's a real word.
I do that with I tried that. I know what you mean. The experiment worked. I was shocked. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I meant to ask you that I haven't already. Since it's got to be getting close to about time, because we started a few minutes after 7.
Yeah.
And we've been at this an hour. Oh, fuck yeah, man.
Flies.
Good company.
Oh, man.
Good company. And headlights, man. You keep those headlights coming.
I guess,
just don't, you can park there, just don't hit me.
my favorite pizza topping is mushrooms. I guess. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The psychedelic kind?
I just like mushrooms. It doesn't matter. I'll take them.
I have gotten into mushrooms a lot lately, not just the psychedelic kind, because they are good at staving off and preventing Alzheimer's and dementia. Really? Yes. There are a couple of different kinds of mushrooms that have been found to regrow and aid in the regrowth of neurological material.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Dr. Paul Stamets is the guy, if anybody wants to look into it. I talk about him all the time. He holds a couple of patents on some really interesting fungi stuff. Fungi.com. That's where I'm looking at getting my supplements from. They're called nootropics. But he's put together a couple of different formulas and that ties into the gut biome, that they're really good for your gut biome. Your gut biome helps break down and prevent the plaque that ends up contributing to dementia and Alzheimer's as it builds up in your brain. So, smart people doing good things, right?
Also,
there's hope.
Funguy.com sounds like a dude who just loves to party. Like,
yeah,
it's a professional partier.
If you want to hear the professional party story, he tells it. I think he was on Rogan's podcast, where he talks about the first time he did mushrooms. He accidentally ate something like 20 grams of dried mushrooms.
How do we accidentally?
Well, he didn't know what the dosage was supposed to be, and so he had a bag of mushrooms, and he didn't know how much he was supposed to eat, and so he ate the whole bag. It was an ounce or something ridiculous like that, and or half an ounce. And he ends up in the top of a tree in a fucking thunderstorm, and it's a hysterical story. Like, you want to talk about a come to Jesus meeting? Jesus. Believe in Jesus or not, your version. He met at the top of a tree.
You're gonna come to something.
Yeah. So Paul Stamets, that's a good fungi dude. But that gets into field theory. Like, I don't know how much you study fungi and the way mycelium and the microbiome underground is laid out. But I feel like we're moving away from, in physics, all this point theory stuff, field theory, everything, just anything and everything. It seems like consciousness is the field. Mushrooms communicate via field. They feed trees. It's really fascinating.
If it gets mushrooms in my pasta, I'm
Fuck yeah.
A-okay with it.
I thought you were going to say aioli with it.
I'm aioli.
Aioli.
Aioli, what up? My old friend Aioli. Aioli sounds like how you say hi to a dude named Lee in Alabama.
Hey, Oli. Oli, 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 Oli. Oli.
That's my favorite Bouncing Souls song.
Man. I kind of want to just do commentary on all these people who keep rolling in, but there are people starting to show up. It's making me nervous. And I really got to pee, so...
I've had to shit for a long time.
Well, I'm glad you kept it on your side of the car.
I mean,
In that case, let's just stay here a while. I didn't know you were uncomfortable. We should definitely prolong this thing.
I prefer to be on edge.
On edge, constantly. All right, well, bye, YouTube.